Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for Losers Round 2 as yours truly, Big Rich X and Kyle get right back into the matchup as we are going to get to watch Vintage versus Ozone, starting with Mercado Las Almas. But before we get into the maps, let's get into the teams. I want to take a look at all of them. Vintage with Dakker, Pixyz, Arimes, and Rezi, looking to take it to Ozone. And we'll take a look at Ozone now as we get loaded up. What are you looking for in this matchup, Kyle?
Oh, I'm looking for Pope Quinten to supply some really good advice to his teammates. From what I heard in the interview that they just had after that amazing reverse sweep, Pope Quinten is the glue that holds the whole team together. Gets good kills, but also has good vibes. JReeaps, a good sniper as well, so as soon as we go to MWII, that's where they ended the last series at with a W. I'm looking at him to provide some more great Overwatch.
Yeah, Oddness and Tower both had some great plays as well. That rounds out Ozone as we get ready to go into Mercado Las Almas for some hardcore, hard-hitting, hard-point action. I am looking forward to it because we haven't seen Mercado too much at this LAN, and it's, like I was saying yesterday, one of my favorite maps in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
I feel like some teams are a little bit more afraid to play it because it's one of those ones where if your opponents are really good at rotating on a hard point, then you don't have a prayer of winning the map. That's just my personal opinion. And so, yeah, if when we do see it, it's usually between teams that are very, very comfortable in hardpoint and have practiced the map a lot, because this is definitely a map that's not for the uninitiated like the S&D kids. It's not a map that you would see people like that be picking all that too much because, yeah, it's just a difficult map like that.
Yeah, the P1 can be especially difficult with just how many angles it can be attacked from. And I think what this is going to come down to, and what it usually always comes down to with hard points, is going to be the rotations and how well teams can adapt to them.
I mean, yeah, this map is quite literally all about rotations. You can be down by like 100 points, but if you start rotating well, then you can come back. I've seen that happen more times than I can really count on my hand or even in my head because, you know, I'm not very good at math. But either way, the point being, it's never too late to start doing the right thing on this map, unless, obviously, I've even seen times where people have like been 5 points away from victory and then just lost because of some great rotational prowess.
Yeah, and we get started here as Vintage will get on P1 early. Rezi holding as Arimes rotates out, and JReeaps getting started off phenomenally as they rotate in to take out Rezi and start off 2-0 to get Ozone on P1. Pixyz with some quick trades, but Reeps holding strong on point alone. Arimes trying to get in there, but JReeaps having none of it. Finally being taken out. Rezi gets in there as it's all tied up 13 apiece on P1.
Yep, but what's even better is the fact that Vintage are able to keep a hold of these P2 spawns. That is exactly what you want going into this next one. Oh, a little bit of trouble here, though. Pope Quinten will get taken out, though, by a good rotation from Dak, who has only died once, by the way. 5 kills for him, so nursing some streaks. But yeah, this setup is looking very, very solid for Vintage.
Absolutely. The trophy system goes down. No real pressure from Ozone yet. Dakker and Arimes looking for the shots, but nothing coming. They're all going back alleyway. Pixyz with the 2-piece. Oddness trying to get in there. Goes for the melee and just couldn't get it. Was able to get the 2-piece with the Vasnev, but Oddness somehow staying up. And finally going down to Pixyz. My apologies for the confusion as Pope continues to go down. There's only 1 in 5 so far as Vintage gets some solid pointage from P2. JReeaps and Tower able to break in, though. Pixyz, though, continuing to be a problem. Finally going down to Tower with that tack. As P2 hotly contested. Dakker trying to find those shots and does eventually get there, but JReeaps is pushing in. Quick trades happening back and forth on this P2, Kyle.
Yep, we'll just about tie things up, but as you can see again, Vintage are going to be out-rotating Ozone, but oh, a little bit of good stuff coming out here from Odd. Potentially could have made an inroad for his team in there, but whoop, Tower might be able to get things done. Nope, can't quite. Quinten now all by his lonesome up against the entire Vintage team. Rotation coming out now. This is their last good chance to hit this objective before the rest of Vintage is rotated over. Pixyz absolutely dumpstering Quinten there, following it up with a solid kill onto Oddness. And yeah, now Vintage have a firm control over this objective.
100%. Pixyz having a great start at 9-4. Dakker rotating through mid, runs right into the headshot from Oddness as Ozone tries to find a way to break through, but Vintage just starting to run away with it. Oddness able to get in there, Tower with the headshots. Mercado Las Almas full of headshots so far as Tower gets taken out midair by Rezi.
Yep, but once again, Vintage are going to be superior on the rotation. Look at this. Every single rotation, every single setup, they've been there first. Now, Ozone, to their credit, have done a very good job at breaking a lot of those setups, but still, if we're looking at who's getting more of the time, it's Vintage. And if it keeps on going like this, eventually you are going to have to start out-rotating these guys. And another thing you're going to have to start doing is, I hate to point this out, but Quinten, you're going to have to get a little bit more than 2 kills going into the 4th hill.
100%. When you have Rezi with a minute-plus hill time already, Pixyz dominating at 12-5. Arimes with a 2-piece, and there's the team wipe. Ozone just getting eliminated, just like our current Ozone layer is, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Dakker, Dakker here on the point, holding as Vintage is able to break triple digits and looks to continue to build this 50-point lead higher and higher.
Yep, Vintage again. Looking to make another rotation. Ozone, to their credit, are going to be here first, so they should be able to get a good setup. Tower a little bit alone up against a lot of enemies, but starting to come to his aid. Tower definitely needs a little bit more help than just Oddness, and yeah, he will have no help other than just Oddness, but he's gonna have to make do by himself, try to go up top, evade the capture, and man, oh man, Tower almost does it, but Rezi just supplying the trade-out kill a little bit too quickly. But now, Ozone still on the objective, though, getting some very much needed time.
Absolutely. Oddness and JReeaps trying to hold. JReeaps at just 13 HP is able to stay up. Oddness lurking in the alleyways, trying to hold it down as JReeaps posts up in the corner. Oddness is going down. Pixyz trying to rotate, and JReeaps going down, and Vintage gets back on point. Still plenty of scrap time on hill. Quinten trying to break through and does huge plays from Ozone here as they catch up big time to this 50-plus point deficit, cutting it down to about 30, as now Oddness, JReeaps, and company start cranking out some kills and evening up their KD.
Yep, and not only that, you see they are finally getting these rotations. They got the rotation to P4 pretty good. Sorry, P5 pretty good, and now we're going into P6, and they're in there with a lot more force than the rest of them, but they can't put the two halves of the sandwich together yet, it seems. Tower trying to make something happen, and yes, indeed, he does. And so with this, should be some great time for Ozone eSports. Like I said, they might have looked down and out a little bit, but never ever on this map.
No, sir. Tower standing tall on the tower, and there's the team wipe on Vintage. Ozone has free reign on the top of the cantina. Someone grab the margaritas and the tortilla chips. I'm ready to relax up here with Ozone. Beautiful job from Tower on the 4th streak. Pope and Oddness on 2 streaks. JReeaps getting some in there too as they are about to take the lead.
Oh, yes, they are. Vintage, they're dying quite a lot at the ends of these hills. Oh, Army's looking to reset the tempo in their favor. Big 2 kills. It was looking like Ozone was about to string another great hill together, but not quite. They're going to get stopped just short of that. And Vintage, this may not be a hill that you're typically liking to depend on for a lot of your hill time, but I mean, man, yeah, and that is exactly why Ozone making a great rotation through the top of the map, and now Armies has to do a lot of pickup work for his team once again. Good shot onto one, good shot coming from another onto Rezi's, and Oddness now finding himself a little bit alone.
Yeah, on that 4th streak, could not get to the 6. Army's able to take them out as Dakker, Pixyz, and company are all there supporting Quinten trying to rotate through. You have Dakker on this mid hold on the garbage truck, and Oddness getting taken out. That TAC 56 so monumental at those medium to long ranges. Pope looking for a shot, but he can't get it. Dakker on the 2 streak now, holding on top of the camper van, breaking through to the point and breaking bad, if you catch my drift. 167 to 150, ladies and gentlemen. Ozone keeping this one close, but Vintage climbing right back into this one to keep it close as we get a fresh set of rotations as we get close to this P1. Reeps with a nice 2-piece in mid, trying to get the 3 and does. There's the team wipe, and now Ozone looking to get some solid P1-age.
Oh, not even just that. They could go without even getting a single little bit of this hill time. They're looking to get these spawns. There you go. As soon as they get the full team wipe, they know it's free and clear. And here we go with the great rotations from them once again. Every single hill, barring the previous hill on that P7, they've had the rotations for like at least a good half of that, and the tempo is really starting to turn in their favor. Vintage, they gotta find something. They gotta find some way to reset this, otherwise they're gonna be in some deep trouble. Gonna be pretty hard though, with Tower having this get out of jail free card in his back pocket in the form of the cruise.
100%. Pixyz and Rezi trying to get set up on P2. Quinten is down below. Oddness looking for the shots, but Pixyz is there in mid. Arimes rotating through, has this angle on Reeps, but Reeps heard him, was able to get the flick. Beautiful job from Reeps there. Pixyz now all alone on objective, gets a nice headshot on Tower, is stunned, is off point, but is able to cause at least a bit of disruption for Ozone on the top of Cantina. Reeps here now rotating in through the back, throwing some stuns. Might get that info on Pixyz, but Pixyz taking out Oddness, still up there and still in point, trying to break through now. Pixyz staying up and finally taken out by Reeps. A beautiful play and a beautiful effort from Pixyz, but it sadly wasn't enough.
Yeah, that's so crazy, the fact that Pixyz was just being such a thorn in the backside the entire time, but they just ignored him straight up. Yeah. And I mean, they got away with ignoring him as well. They're just like, all right, well, it's just one guy in here, not that threatened. I mean, that's crazy considering how many kills Pixyz has, just getting one here, getting one there. But Ozone, they just prioritize getting every single other person. The idea is that if he doesn't have any help, he's not really going to be able to do too much because they're reinforcing more rapidly. Good prioritization there from Ozone eSports, even though it was quite risky to be letting them run around their home third. Vintage going to be on a good rotation though, and they will absolutely need this, otherwise they could lose this right now.
Yeah, we'll see if Ozone can break in. Oddness gets one. Enemies holding, but Reeps and Tower pushing in, and Reeps with a massive 2-piece. Quinten on the outside, and this one could be over right here, right now. My goodness, how the turntables, ladies and gentlemen. 231 to 191. Tower up top. From his tower, he let his long hair down and dropped down for the kill, but Pixyz and Arimes pushing in and getting it back in the hands of Vintage, not letting this one go without a fight.
Oh, with that is the full team wipe. Ozone eSports, they're no idiots. They know that if they want to trek across the map and try and win on this hill, they will not be able to. So they're just going to give it up. It does put Vintage in a striking distance of them. They call in another cruise missile. That's all their cruise missiles gone. But Vintage are at only half their manpower right now. Good setup coming out here from Ozone. They can still end it. They're just trying not to be in a position where they could throw it. But Rezi getting a big kill on the outside there. The pinch is starting to come in. Quinten with a big moment here. He goes big indeed. But on the backside, Rezi breaks through. And Quinten with another solid one. But he's got to go in, pick up the pieces, prevent the victory coming out from Vintage. And he will be able to help his team break back in. 10 seconds left. Rezi, I don't know if he even has time to break back in here. The mid-map hold from Tower, and they will not be able to stop Ozone from winning now.
Wow, Tower just dominant in those final moments. Think on the 4 streak. Another Ozone player on the 5, 250 to 218. Absolute flip from Ozone at the start of that. Tower here will get the final kill cam through mid, posted up on the RV. Arimes going down. Beautiful shots with that tack, and look at the non-traded from Pixyz, but it sadly wasn't enough. 25, couldn't get it done. Incredible start to this losers round 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, honestly, it's so crazy that the fact that they were literally just able to ignore him. You saw it. He was getting kills, and he was even on some of the hills while he was getting those kills, but none of his teammates were able to get past a lot of the great setups that Ozone had for the majority of the time. And so, yeah, he was able to get a kill here, a kill there, but didn't really amount to much. He was aggressive, yes, but he just he wasn't aggressive enough to where he could just be like, all right, I got a kill, now I'm going to go kill the rest of the team. He's like, all right, I got a kill. I got to sit back, wait for the rest of my team to come on in here and break the objective with me. I'm just one guy, can't do it by myself. But unfortunately, they needed a little bit more than just a kill here, a kill there. It did add up for him. He was the only one to break 30, but again, they just got a little bit too separated.
Yeah, at the end of the day, in Hardpoint, what really matters is how much hill time do you got. I can respect the lone wolf plays, but you gotta make sure you're rotating with your team and pushing together to cap that hill, lock it down, and make sure you're securing points. Because I know I've definitely gone lone wolf before, and very rarely has it paid off for the team. I think Pixyz did an excellent job there, causing some disruption. But even while he was disrupting on that point, Ozone was still getting points. It was free points all the way, and I'm excited as we get S&D loaded up in round 2 on Embassy. We're still getting a few things situated, but we'll be right back after a short break, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you dare go anywhere.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are in here once again with Ozone versus Vintage in the losers round 2 of Contenders FOCO, and I am joined by Big Rich X.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? How we feeling? How we living? How we breathing? Search and Destroy coming at you. It is my bread, my butter, my sugar, my cream, my everything when it comes to cashing. I can't wait for these two teams to go at it here at the Embassy. Vintage on the defense first as Ozone goes for the typical B push on Embassy. We'll see if we get a few cross-map nades to no avail as Arimes gets a nice shot off on Tower to get first blood on Ozone.
Yeah, great start there from them. Already taken out Tower, who supplied a very solid amount of kills in the last game. But there's someone else that you got to be watching out for, and that is JReeaps on Ozone. He is one of the major reasons why they're able to play so well on this map. Ooh, missing a little bit of a shot there. Unfortunate for him. Follow-up, also going to be a miss. But yeah, this is one of the reasons why Ozone did reverse sweep on this map. It was him.
Yeah, Rezi gets some nice trades on Reaps with the sniper. A little sniper v sniper as Pixyz takes out Oddness. It's a 3v1 early as Vintage looks to take round 1. Arimes through the door to take out Pope. Quinten, Pixyz on the defuse, and a solid, near flawless round from Vintage here on Embassy as they get started off on the right foot.
Yep, good start there for Vintage. Always good to start things off with a W, especially when you're able to get first blood, able to deny your opponents the setup that they want. Yeah, this is just pretty much everything you would be possibly wanting on a defensive side. You got the flank. Every single possible angle is going to be locked down. You're not going to let your opponents just set up and zone you off one half of the map. So yeah, a lot of great things in that round for Vintage.
Indubitably so. Oddness, the only one able to score a kill for Ozone. We'll see if they can bounce back here. As Vintage rotates on the attack, Arimes is going to be the bomb carrier early and going up top. It's going to be an interesting move. Quinten on the reverse side, but Ozone doesn't have that good map control to overwatch Bravo. Pope Quinten is up there, but it's a hard push A from Ozone. I don't know how well it's going to pay off as Rezi gets the headshot on Reaps. Oddness gets the trade to keep it 3-3. Pope Quinten on the outside in tennis court serving up a kill of their own. Now 2v2. Pope Quinten and Tower looking for the clutch here. We'll see if they can. They're holding on B side. Dakker has a nice rotation looking for Pope, but I believe Pope's pushed up in the mid lane, still has some cover. Tower here just ADS spamming, looking for something as Dakker does take out Pope. Tower all alone in a 1v2.
Oh, now they know. They know where he is. Tower, I think his days are just about numbered. He's trying to play it close on the stairs. Good idea on his part. But, trying to escape Rezi here. Going to be obfuscated by the door. Bomb does have to get picked up by Vintage. That is the one thing that does kind of stink for them right now. So they will have to go and get this bomb plant down. Tower, eventually, he's going to have to go for this retake. And so his window to get a kill and make maybe 1v2, this is starting to close. 1v1 now with Rezi. Just straggling this, snaking it, and he will be able to get the win for Vintage.
Yeah, popping up on that flower bed as Vintage has all the momentum here after a tough loss in the hard point. Rezi with a 4-0 start. The jump shot on Tower Bit of a dunk there. Not huge jump, but still, he got some nice vertical stats there, I think. 2-0 for Vintage as we get ready for round 3. Vintage is really cooking behind Rezi's 4-0.
Yeah, honestly, a little bit of a shocking start here for Ozone, especially considering how good they did in the last Search and Destroy on this map, the last series. I guess it's not super shocking because they did struggle in the beginning and then got better as the game did go on. So maybe not as shocking as I originally said. JReeaps looking to get his first blood. Oh, not quite feeling it. Going for the follow-up, but Pixyz just runs right out in front of him, kills one of his teammates. That is something that has to be stopped. And JReeaps, oh man, Rezi annihilating him, and Oddness off the bomb site now as well. It is looking good for Vintage.
Yeah, Pope, Quinten in a tough situation. He's got to call the Cardinals or the very heavens themselves for backup in a 1v4 situation against this Vintage team that doesn't show any signs of slowing. Dakker here holding on tennis courts. Pope continuing to rotate through, crouched up, waiting to strike, trying to find something, get a quick peek, get a quick kill. Pope Quinten's been spotted. Dakker looking for the shots, and here they come. And there it is, Dakker on the tennis court. Beautiful job there as Vintage takes it 3-0.
Yeah, Quinten definitely would have needed a little bit of divine intervention in order to win that round, I guess you could say. 100%. Pretty much every single angle was against him. No map control, no intel on absolutely anybody, and not a single player down. So, yeah, that would have been the most difficult comeback I would have seen anybody pull off in this land so far. Not holding that one against Quinten too much. And so, yeah, Vintage now starting to get in the position where Ozone are going to start to be like, all right, guys, what do we got? We've been sitting back, learning what our opponent's tendencies are this entire time. What do we got? How are we going to come back from this? If they don't get an answer, like, basically right now, I'm going to start to be very concerned about their chances as Tower is now 0-4. JReeaps does finally get, does remove the donut next to his name. And this is honestly a really good extension up into B, if only their opponents were playing for B and not for A.
Yeah, Rezi looking for the snipe on Pope. That stun misses from Pope. Arimes is there as well. Pope able to take out Arimes and get some more kills on Ozone eSports side. Vintage now in a 2v3 situation. First time finding themselves against the wall and trying to fight their way out of a corner. Oddness pops the Deddy and looks to push up. Rezi with the pistol on Reeps. Pixyz doesn't see him through the handrail, and now it's a 1v2 with the sniper. Can Rezi get it done with the SBX 80? Is they able to pick up a Vassinav 9K? Pope pushing through the truck. Are you kidding me? Oddness trying to get there with the defuse as Ozone eSports steals it away. Oh, a beautiful snipe, but it sadly was not enough. Ozone eSports grabbing their first round.
Yeah, really good team play there from Ozone. They know that they don't even necessarily have to kill this dude. They just need to make a good death on their part. Because all the while Quinten was basically running around, flailing around saying, hey, look at me, his teammate was going for and getting the defuse. And so the fact that Quinten died didn't really matter. The fact that he stopped his teammate from dying, absolutely impactful.
Yeah, his sacrifice was not made in vain. Rezi, though, at 7-0, is still a massive threat to Ozone here and their potential comeback, trying to come back from the 3-0 deficit. As Reeps looking for snipes of their own. Tower of the bomb carrier still rotating through that embassy building. No solid map control from Ozone yet, as Reeps has the Overwatch tower pushing in. Vintage still just holding on the objectives. They got 2 Alpha, 2 Bravo. Quinten slowly rotating in the rear. Might get a peek on Rezi here. Reeps looking for that shot, but whiffs on Arimes. As Pope Quinten taking out Rezi with the headshot. Finally giving Rezi their first death. Now they're going for the plant on B. Pixyz holding up top, though. Might be able to get a free kill here. Ooh, Reeps with the snipe was waiting. Oh my goodness, beautiful shot from Reeps right there, Kyle.
Oh, that was beautiful. Literally, as soon as you think that someone's gonna slip by, oh, doesn't manage to see Arimes on this one. So Arimes might be able to make his way into the bomb site. He's gonna be looking for JReeaps above anyone else, but does get a little bit wrecked by Tower, and that leaves just Dakker, who shortly finds his way to the Shadow Realm as well. Has now Ozone a little bit later than the last series, but are now starting to get their comeback trail going.
Absolutely. Dakker going down to Oddness with the Vassnev 9K. Didn't even see him lurking in the corner and striking at the opportune time. So we flip sides here. It's 3-2. Ozone eSports has the momentum. Vintage trying to bounce back. They had such a phenomenal start, but have just fallen apart here after these 2 rounds. As we get into round 6, Arimes the bomb carrier. Another quick push over to B. Good map control on Bravo objective. Quinten is up there. I don't know how much damage they'll be able to do, as it's a quick plant from Vintage. Reeps rotating through Embassy building as Quinten starts to get some shots down. Tower will be the first one to get the kill this time around, though.
Oh, that 3-man push around the back from Ozone. Absolutely beautiful to look at. Now, Vintage, they're going to have to flip the map on them, and that's something that they are going to be able to do. Bomb is planted for Ozone, so that's something that's in their favor, but it's still going to be a little bit of a rough one, especially since they have to cross through this open territory. Great map flip from Vintage, and so now they will be able to continue in their winning ways. Now going to be up 4-2 and stopping the Ozone comeback train just for a little bit.
Yeah, 10-1 from Rezi, though. This is Rezi's map all the way. They show no signs of slowing down with only a single death. They just got a solid 2-piece kill cam to clutch it up and bring a 4-2 lead to Vintage's side, as Ozone eSports just don't seem to have an answer for Rezi. I don't think Rezi's dropped that cruise missile yet either. We'll see if it comes into play here, as it seems to be an alpha push from Tower and company. Huge split, though, as Reeps is looking for a snipe on B side. They are far and away separated. You see Vintage grouped together on A side and mid, but Pixyz going to take advantage of that. Oddness going down in mid, and now it's a 4v3 in Vintage's favor. It's going to be a tough push out through mid lane, but we'll see if Ozone can get it done.
Yeah, what they really, really need is a snipe. This guy keeps taking these mini peeks out at JReeaps. If he could just get a little bit of a kill onto that guy, punish him for constantly peeking him, that would be a good way back in. That's pretty much what they're going to be needing. Hoping to get some good overwatch from him as they're making their way on up. Pixie really does not want to lose his head for this peek, but does just hop right over the top of JReeaps' sight line and kills one of them. Very well done. And so with that, bomb is down, 30 seconds left. Once again, divine intervention is going to be needed for Quinten and Ozone to win this round. He does get one onto Arimes, but JReeaps not landing the snipe. So yes, this round is basically dead in the water for Ozone.
And there you have it, right on cue. Vintage taking it to match point, 5-2. I mean, I don't think Ozone's going to be able to slow down the momentum now. Dakker here at the TAC 56 from underneath, just threading the needle through that door and overhang to take out Quinten.
Yep, looking pretty good for Vintage. Once again, they could tie the series up 1-1 right now. It's I don't know. I unfortunately didn't get to see Ozone play their control the last time. I do believe it was the beginning of their reverse sweep as well, but obviously we can't dig too deeply into that last series because this was a map that they did an incredibly good job on. And so that is clearly changing up a little bit. Stuff for JReeaps, though, trying to get the turn onto Rezi, but the pistol whip a little bit too nice. So Vintage, despite that good pistol shot, it's such a good setup here for Ozone. Bomb is down. They got a 3-1 advantage. The only hope for Rezi here is the fact that these guys from Ozone are on completely separate sight lines, but yeah, set up that way for a reason. Ozone not dead yet, just got a little bit of climbing left to do.
Yeah, Tower here with the Vassnev just gonna beat out that pistol 9.9 times out of 10 in those close engagements. And I don't think Rezi was gonna be able to get set up in time after the dolphin dive into the bush. We see a dreaded 5-3. I know some players and managers don't believe in the 5-3 curse, but I certainly do. Rezi just had his second death of the entire game. So I feel bad omens coming for Vintage. We'll see if they can close out. Nades are coming, and it seems to be a rotation alpha, but Rezi is looking for the peak, and finally bringing in that cruise missile. I didn't see any trophy systems go down, so we'll see if Rezi is able to sneak a kill or two in, but the trophy systems were down, ladies and gentlemen, and somehow taking out that massive cruise missile. Rezi is alone, and now the rotation's coming in from Ozone. They look for a plant, but Arimes is there. It's now a 2v2. Shots from the high ground. Pixyz makes it a 2v1, and Vintage looking to shut it down. It's all up to Pope. Quinten, get down and start praying, Pope. You're gonna need it as Arimes is up top. Does he see him? No, he does not. Arimes dropping in. Pope trying to return fire as Arimes holds in the corner, peeking back out. Pope in a tough spot, and there's the shot to finish it off. Vintage with the W here.
Yep, getting it done at the end of the day. A couple of close rounds here and there and good stuff from Ozone, but Vintage, they had the Overwatch. We heard in the interview that Ozone said you should not play this map if you don't have a good sniper, but clearly Vintage did. Rezi, such a difference maker for his team. Look at him, 11 and 3, 9 untraded kills, got that cruise missile that really stunted their play, and yeah, just a big map for Rezi and Vintage totally.
I think at this point in Call of Duty, cruise missiles in competitive mainly serve as giving you info on the enemy team, where they at, where they rotating, and what they're working with, really. And that, I think, just made the difference there for Vintage as we get ready for a round 3 tiebreaker on Control. It's gonna be interesting, and I think I give the advantage to Ozone here, just with how they were able to get those rotations, like you were saying in Hardpoint. They thrive better in the respawn type game modes.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. I wouldn't say that Ozone is that Vintage is bad by any means in that as well, but yeah, I think this is really what it's going to come down to is this map 3, because we got a team that's pretty good at Hardpoint, clearly. We got a team that's pretty good at Search and Destroy, clearly. And so, are you looking to win all your respawns, or are you looking for the Neslo-esque victory? That's pretty much what it's going to come down to here, in my personal opinion. Vintage, they weren't too far away necessarily from the win on Mercado, but Ozone, as soon as they hit their stride in the rotations, there was just not really much that Vintage could do to stop them. And so, is that something that could necessarily be repeated on a map that's not as rotation heavy? Like, say, Hotel, still a little bit rotation heavy, but not nearly to the degree as Mercado. Could be, but I still think that this map is going to be the strongest indicator of who's going to be winning.
Yeah, I believe it is a Hotel we are going to for this Control. Quick question for you, Kyle, before we get loaded into this one. Do you have a preference on this objective when you push it? Do you go A? Do you go B? What's your game plan if you're Ozone trying to win this respawn mode?
If I'm on the attacking side of Ozone, I'm just going B every single time. Hard B. You can, if you're not at least trying to pressure your opponents on that, I feel like you're doing it a little bit wrong, straight up. Like, if you can catch your opponents defending it a little bit lacklusterly, like they send 2A, 2B, something I see a lot of teams that are a little bit less experienced in the mode try and do. It's a very high likelihood that you can get punished, especially if you don't get the first blood on the defending side. You can get caught flat-footed right out in the middle of everything, and you instantaneously lose B. If I'm Ozone on the attack, that's what I'm doing.
Amen. Well, we'll see if that comes true here as we get loaded into the Hotel. I know we like to say the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn. We'll see if we can have a good night's stay here, or will it cause a whole lot of chaos in our minds and on the mic. It's going to be a fun one either way, and I'm looking forward to each and every second of this hardcore, hard-hitting Hotel action. I don't know about you, Kyle, but let's get into this.
Yep, and I'm curious to see how Vintage does decide to go for this. It looks like they're going mid-B, which is pretty typical at this point. And Ozone are leaving only JReeaps here. He's going to get stunned as well, almost nailed off. And yes, that's exactly how you want to be starting this thing off. And now you've got nobody left up. You do trade 1 for 1, so that does slow down Vintage's push ever so slightly. And Ozone making their way towards the middle of the map. This will, yes, be a good reaction to what Vintage is doing, but it's not going to be enough. Eventually, they're going to need to have people coming out of the spawn. Otherwise, Vintage are just going to get this quick cap on B.
Yeah, just as you were saying, a hard push B, that's what you're doing all the time, every time, if you're Vintage, if you're rotating in on attack, and they are about to cap B with a 2-person ult to finish, and they do. One of the fastest B caps I've ever seen in Hotel. Well done, Vintage, as they make an aggressive rotation towards Alpha Tower there, causing a bit of disruption on this rotation, but Army's able to take them out as Vintage leads 25-22, and Pixyz is already there, about to cap P1.
Yep, and it's looking like Vintage are looking to make a quick one out of this. Ozone desperately trying to stabilize, but this is the hill that you don't want to be having as the last one for a reason. Rezi in and around the back. It looks like Ozone's trying to go for a little bit of mid-map pressure here. Interesting. Rezi going to be going for the punish on that. And yeah, Ozone just doesn't really have a whole lot of great control over anything in general. Army is going to be looking to kid JReeaps out of the corner, does do so, sees Quinten, goes in and fries him as well. Well played by Armies so far. Flank coming in from Oddness. If they can pick this one out, then they'll be pretty good to go. But either way, this tick is looking to be one of many.
100% Armies with a great start at 8-3. A 3-piece right there. Armies is a one-man army. And that's going to be round one. Truly one of the fastest round ones I've seen in a minute on a control, and especially in Hotel. Incredible stuff. We'll see that kill cam again. Armies with the 1 and the 2. The drop shot on Quinten through the chair. Take a seat, sir. Well done, Vintage. What a round, Kyle. What a round.
Yep, like I said, I swear, Rich, I have seen that happen in more round ones of Hotel Control than you could probably count. So, yeah, it's maybe you can get away with doing that up against opponents that are not so good, but at this point of the game, all your opponents are going to be good, and you 100% have to be ready for something like that. And Ozone, they're going for a little bit of an interesting one, a little bit of a full push through the middle of the map. And it is going to be a complete and utter unmitigated disaster for Ozone as Vintage collapsed both sides of the sandwich on him. Army's not done yet. Now he is, but JReeaps and the guys taking quite a lot of damage for even this first A-tick.
Yeah, they might be able to get a solid hold on Alpha here. Vintage has to make a long rotation. Dakker just went down. They're pushing in now as a team, but it's going to be a 3v4. Pixyz trying to break through, but Oddness with a massive 2-piece. Rezi the only one up, and a nice A hold and push from Ozone there as they were able to wrap around and secure that A objective. I think Vintage just got a little too separated and couldn't make the aggressive push they wanted to as a team. They went in 1 by 1, and it just didn't pay off.
I do like their reaction to that, though. As soon as they don't get the initial push successful, they're like, all right, well, one and done, guys. Let's just go and set up in their bedroom area and in the middle of the map. We don't want them to have this easy transition. Army's unfortunate there. Odd is going to be getting pretty dang close to streaks, but if he doesn't realize that Rezi's up inside of the bedroom, he's really got to care bedroom. It's such a common spot for people to be holding. Rezi, door slammed in onto him. And oh my god, JReeaps, he knows. This guy has got some next level intelligence as Ozone are now looking to get control over B.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vintage got away with that first round. You see just the huge kill differential from Armies at 15-6. None of the players are even close to double digits yet. Ozone eSports much more evenly spread, but Rezi continuing to help out and get close to helping out Armies. Rezi and Pixyz going for the team wipe now as Ozone is down 19-13 in lives and has to reset and try to rotate. And then you see this push up from Vintage in mid and the hotel room, not letting Ozone get this map control or the respawn.
The saddest thing in that whole run of play was the fact that Oddness, trying so desperately to get streaks, sitting in a corner, did end up not getting them. He was just 1 kill short. And so that could have been a big let off for Ozone at some point in this game, but is no longer going to be a factor. They are only at one singular objective taken, and Armies now has streaks as well, just to rub the salt in a little bit deeper into the wounds. Up by 11 kills, winning on literally all counts right now. Ozone, it's, once again, I've said this many times, going to have to take a divine intervention for Pope Quinten and Ozone in order to win this one.
That's not coming as Vintage and company are just rolling. Dakker to take out Reeaps. Clock's going to tick down. That's going to be a GR. Good round, everybody. 18-8. What a start for Arimes. as Vintage takes a 2-0 lead. We've seen Ozo come back from a deficit before, but this is going to be a steep hill to climb. Reeps going down from shots from on high, and Dakker. What just beautiful job, Vintage.
Yep, Vintage now with an opportunity to end things in this round and kick us straight back to a hard point, which they did end up losing, but I'm not super convinced by what I've seen so far that it's a map and mode combination that is going to be just slam dunk into the hands of Ozone. Vintage have been showing that they may have struggled a little bit on map number 1, but even so, they had some great rotations going their way as well. Tempo just sort of evaded them towards the end. So Ozone, I think they really do have to prioritize making the comeback in this map. Otherwise, it's going to just be so difficult. Nothing is guaranteed for them.
Yeah, Dakker causing some disruption in mid, and it's already a 2v3 on objective. Rezi taking out Reeps, and Alpha is going to be capped with only 1 death for Vintage. That is huge on that long way to Bravo. Quinten able to take out Arimes on the rotation through mid, and now Ozone eSports has to lock down B here, avoid those team wipes that Vintage seems to be so good at. Arimes is a one-man wrecking crew here at 18-9, looking to hit the 20 bomb here in round 3.
This is still much better for Ozone. They've still got all the B on lockdown. They've got bedroom control. And ooh, JReeaps with a massive kill onto Arimes, keeping the position alive. Dakker does find Oddness. He's going to be looking for JReeaps. I don't know if JReeaps quite clocked the fact that he dropped there. Now he knows that he's close. Ooh, almost getting him there as well. JReeaps trying to finish his dinner here, but can't seem to quite get it done. Flying around the corner, Dakker. Oh my goodness, that is bedroom control completely and utterly lost. And now Vintage looking to just storm their way out onto B. Mid-map cutoff is going to be there, but Dakker is still here getting these ticks.
Yeah, Tower with the 2-piece, but quickly going down. The headshot hotel making a return. Dakker and Arimes both scoring one, but Oddness jumping in to clear off that second progress bar and prevent the cap. Rezi trying to push in through mid now. Nades coming. Quinten holding on Concierge. Another headshot for Vintage as Rezi makes the rotation through mid. Quinten only one holding on Bravo so far. Has got to wait for backup as he quickly gets taken out. Tower to take out Dakker as Reeps holds up top. Tower trying to push in through mid and does beautiful plays from Reeps, Oddness, and Tower to prevent the B cap. Incredible.
Yeah, like I said, this is much, much better from Ozone. This is what you wanted from the first round, but you just couldn't do it because you didn't have B at this point. So, yeah, good stuff coming out from them now. They clearly know how to hold B, but, oh, maybe I might be eating my words here on that one. Vintage saying we know how to take B better than they can hold B as they're going storming onto it. Tower locked out. So the stack is coming in, and it will be deadly for Ozone.
Oddness.
Trying to stop literally the last second. Oddness. What a heroic play from him, keeping them in it just barely.
Oddness just with an incredibly awesome and odd 1v4 holding Bravo point and clearing off that third progress bar by themselves. Had some assistance, but the kill feed was all Oddness, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful bounce back as Vintage tries to find a way to push in, but it's going to be tough. Ozone eSports were able to gain such huge map control on Bravo objective, and now Vintage, with just 15 seconds remaining, have to find a way to get through and stop the clock, secure that third progress bar, and maybe come away with the win here. As the clock starts to run out, Dakker gets one, Tower going down, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Reeps the only one up. Can Reeps get it done for Ozone? Vintage able to break through somehow, some way. Oh my goodness, Vintage with the win. Insane.
Oh my goodness. That is crazy that they were able to get that done. Ozone just collapsing at the worst time humanly possible, but I guess on the flip side of that, Vintage breaking in and having ice at the best time humanly possible. JReeaps could not recover. They were burning that way too fast. He tried to peek out, but it was already too late. And Vintage taking this one 3-0, winning all... Sorry. They're looking to get their Neslo going on here is what I meant to say.
It's all good. 2-1. Ozone takes the lead in this series. I think Vintage just let off some greenhouse gases into the map, and that just really affected with Ozone's play there. I don't know what happened. Oddness had that incredible clutch, but it wasn't enough. Vintage was able to break through with less lives, had just less map control, but somehow, some way punched their ticket through and took the lead. Incredible.
Yep, and now we are going to be going still on Hotel. We got a 2-day stay here, ladies and gentlemen. This is day 2 out of 2 on the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn. And yeah, honestly, despite the fact that Ozone won that first hardpoint, I'm not super inclined to just say, oh yeah, they got this one. They're the better hardpoint team, hands down. They got it 100%. We're going to LSCLO. But yeah, honestly, I'm not super inclined to do that because if you do remember the way it started in that Mercado for Vintage, it was really good. And they had some pretty good breaks left, right, and center, even on a map like Mercado. And so these guys got some good building blocks in this map and mode. What really killed Vintage was the fact that Ozone was just able to string some good hills together back to back to back to back. And yeah, Vintage just, they allowed them to do that by having some really bad death timings. Like the last 20 seconds of these objectives, Ozone on the prowl, looking for the kills. If you get a full team wipe like that, then you got an easy in onto the next hill, easy setup just like that. Hotel, a little bit similar in that aspect, but it's a lot more about, it's a little bit more even-handed between the setups and the breaking, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a completely different animal as we get everything situated, ladies and gentlemen. I believe we're going to go to a quick break, but we'll be right back for round 4. Don't you dare go anywhere. If you're not following, follow now or I'll find out. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for some hardpoint right back at the hotel. Like my good friend and co-caster Kyle was saying, it's a 2-night stay here. We'll see if Vintage can shut this series out here with the 3-1 victory, or will Ozone bounce back as they get first control of P1. Pixyz is in there. Arimes dealing with some shots, and Tower with the headshot. Arimes couldn't escape it. Vintage looking to hold, but Ozone eSports is circling in.
Ooh, a little bit of an interesting spot here for Ozone. They did start off on the better side, but Vintage just forcing them to pay attention to the P1, and now they might be losing these spawns here as well as being down 20 seconds. Tower getting a little bit eviscerated by Dakker as well, and so with that, the full team wipe comes through as well, and so Vintage could not possibly be having a better start than this.
Yeah, Rezi at a 6-0 already has the streak. Yeah, exactly. Dakker to take out Pope. And my goodness, Vintage is rolling with a 39-0 start on a P1. Very rarely do you see even 30-plus points on the P1, so the fact that they got close to 40 is just, they're setting the tempo early, and they have their foot on the gas, pedal to the metal. A 7 streak now for Rezi, trying to approach a 10. Can Rezi do the 10-0? Incredible stuff from Vintage.
Oh, he's gonna try. Rezi getting peeked by 2 people. That was unfair.
Yeah.
We were giving him an opportunity to go for the 10, but either way, a good break coming in from Ozone, finally getting some points on the board. But yeah, really good start from Vintage. This is how we saw the last hard point go, so I'm not trying to get my hopes up too much because Ozone, they're definitely a little bit more of a late game powerhouse than an early game one. So we definitely are going to be looking at things more like, are they going to be able to get this rotation of P3? Because if we're talking about hills that are important to get rotations on, this is the one that I would say hands down is at least one on this map that you need.
Yeah, rotating into that kitchen can be really tough, and if you have the early hold, playing on those hot windows and on the stoves, it's just like the A galleries in control. There's just so many head glitches you can play onto the defensive side of things to just really get a good hold on this point. Pixyz is in there. Army's waiting and striking at the opportune moment, posted up in the corner and waited for the 2-man push and got the 2-piece. Looking for a 3. Army's jumping in. Are you kidding me? Come on, Vintage. That was awesome plays from Arimes there. As Pixyz holds, here comes the push in from Ozone as they just can't seem to break through on this P3. Incredible job from Vintage here as Rezi on the 4 streak. Arimes on the 4 streak as well, as I see no signs of Vintage slowing down here.
Oh, definitely not. They know that Ozone in their right mind would not challenge them for this last little bit of time. If they did, it would be a little bit of a throw. And so they're going to take this as an invitation to try and push their opponents off this next objective as well, breaking 100 points, looking to get even further up than that. Mid-map pressure is going to be there for Ozone, though, and the team nade is also going to be there for Ozone. But either way, they should still be in a good spot. Oh, just kidding. Army's in a very interesting spawn, completely against the run of play, is going to clear things out. So Vintage with another great break.
Oddness able to break back through, though. Again, Reeves scoring the headshot on Arimes, trying to get something going for Ozone as they find themselves in a 70-plus point deficit right now. Rezi and Pixyz holding. Rezi dropping in, though. Tower trying to stay up, but unfortunately cannot make it. Arimes and Rezi had the crossfire going as they lock it down this objective once again for Vintage.
Vintage, this is starting to get to a point where you can start to say, all right, we're feeling pretty good. I think we're gonna win this one, guys. Like, yeah, they are about to be, I think, triple their opponent's scoreline. Again, Caster's very, very bad at math, but yeah, this rotation finally looking good for Ozone. They, like I said, it's never too late to start doing the right thing, especially when your opponents are only halfway towards victory. But yeah, Ozone eSports, they can definitely string. This is a really good time for them to be doing this, actually, Rich, because if they can get this hill time in their favor and they can keep it towards the very end, they have an easy rotation to P6 as well.
Yeah, Rezi was able to get a kill with that cruise missile. See if Vintage will be able to push in, hopefully disrupt it, but Oddness and company doing a wonderful job of holding here in the gallery. Rezi, though, at 19-3 is absolutely frying. Someone call SpongeBob SquarePants because I think his job is in trouble. Rezi at 20-3 on an 8 streak, continuing to fry, looking for that 10 streak once again, but Quinten going down after a 2-piece. Rezi at 9 and holding. Rotating now through dry storage, looking for a shot, just one away. As Vintage approaches 150 to 68, it's just all Vintage thus far, Kyle.
One good thing from that hill for Ozone is the fact that they have an easy rotation to this P6. And they are going to be keeping that as well for now. Vintage doing the right thing, though. They're looking to push right on through and break. Oh, shots in the back twice from 2 different spots. And so now, good stuff from Ozone, wiping the objective clean, but no one really gaining a little bit of this hill time. So Vintage still denying some hill time, even from beyond the grave.
Yeah, Reeps just went down to their own nade, I think. That cruise missile again from Rezi. As Vintage starts to contest, Reeps holding in that corner, and beautiful job from Pope and Reeps to hold this objective and start gaining some points from Ozone as they've held for just about all of it. Finally bringing it with at least within striking distance if they can hopefully tie this thing up and get back in the fight. Vintage, though, is going to be a giant of a fight, so we'll see if they can as Pope Quinten holds in scrap. We'll see if Rezi can push through and gets a few seconds in scrap time as we reset on these rotations. Ozone looking to get set up early on P1.
Yep, but little do they know that Vintage have already whisked the spawns away from them. And so, yeah, Ozone is doing a good thing and trying to pressure this time. They can catch their opponents off this hill, and so Vintage, they don't want their lead to deteriorate too badly, especially with the lack of guarantee that they'll be getting any time off this P2 just yet. But they are going to be going right back on in, getting the hill away from their opponents, and now that same coin is going to be flipped against Ozone. Ozone not going to be able to dedicate themselves to this P2, otherwise Vintage could break 200.
There's the team wipe again on Ozone. Pixyz on the 4 streak, Arimes on the 3. Pixyz doing a beautiful job holding in the objective and returning fire. Arimes and Pixyz continue to gain the streaks. Pope able to finally take Pixyz off objective, and we'll get a few moments of scrap time, but it's still a solid 50-plus point game right now in Vintage's favor as they try to get set up on P2. Arimes, Dakker are there. Can they hold it long enough to secure the 200-point threshold?
Oh, it's looking good for Vintage. Yes, indeed, my friend. Another full team wipe. Great control over every single aspect of the map. Ozone eSports are going to be hard-pressed to break back into this one, but they're going to try brute force tactics, just going straight on in, everyone flying in through the door, hoping that something sticks, but nothing quite yet. One is going to be making it on, and I guess Army's out of bullets, so nice little blessing there for Pope Quinten, but still on the back line is going to be Rezi mopping up shop as per usual.
Rezi approaching double kills of their teammates at 27 and 9. It is an insane stat line as they are having themselves an MVP-like game. Vintage cracking 200, a 77-point game, making the math easy. Rezi getting a nice rotation on to this P3 as the rest of Ozone tries to get their Vintage holding for scrap, and now everyone begins the rotation over. JReeaps able to hold Quinten in mid, going down to Dakker. Tower going down to Dakker as well, and JReeaps is all alone as Oddness gets taken out as well. That is going to be a tough hold from JReeaps. Vintage going to get it set up nice outside of objective.
Oh, JReeaps though, he might, nope, can't, not up against Rezi, he can't. 28 kills and only 10 deaths. Vintage looking to close this one out sooner rather than later. Oddness falls, and Pixyz just got streaks now as well, so that's compounding the misery. And Vintage, they just can't even get close to Vintage on this objective. Ozone desperating through the side, but Arimes is there. Everyone popping off for Vintage, and it is looking like they are about to send Ozone eSports packing back to wherever they came from, as they are now about to hit that 250 mark. Ah, man, what a great game from Vintage. Rezi especially finally breaking the 31-point margin.
Rezi! The ridiculous Rezi, ladies and gentlemen. Printed on a t-shirt. Send me one right now. I'm going to need it. 250 to 136. What an absolutely dominant performance. Pixyz with a 7 streak before going down there. 31 and 10 as JReeaps goes down on the Dolphin dive. Ozone getting sent back to the sky. Vintage has the ground game. They won it right there. 29 non-traded kills for Rezi. Are you kidding me? Seriously, what the bleep, ladies and gentlemen? What the bleep is all I gotta say.
Yep, but looks like I was right about Ozone not necessarily being given the benefit of the doubt that they're going to win every single hard point, because, like I said, Vintage, they had some good building blocks in that last hard point. It's just that they got stuck in a little bit of a bad run of play, back-to-back hills, bad death timers, but they obviously fixed that going into the hotel. It's not like if you don't rotate to the objective, you're just toast and you might as well not even try. On hotel, you can definitely get away with stuff like that in Vintage. Man, oh man, especially Rezi. 30 bombs, just getting massive amounts of kills all game, 10 plus in the Search and Destroy. This guy is disgustingly good. He's like, he really did look like he was in a league of his own out there, Rich.
I could not agree more. I mean, the whole team was playing phenomenally. I mean, we saw Pixyz get a 7 streak there, 5 streaks or more for the rest of the players. It's just an effective, incredible rotations. Just there's so many synonyms and acronyms and all the other nims I could use to describe that performance, but wow, it's just incredible. Yes, I am wearing 2 shirts, chat, because I sweat a lot. Don't judge me. Anyways, we're going to get loaded into our losers quarters as Vintage will take on New Look. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you dare go anywhere.